Hello, good morning. Is that Chris?
It is. How are you?
Hey, Chris, it's Claudio here from the Mentors. You're also joined here by Matt Lahood and Clinton, our third mentor on the podcast here, mate. Thanks for joining us. And Chris, firstly, let's talk about how we connected. You reached to us via our the Mentors Instagram post, and obviously you heard about our podcast and you wanted to be on the show, man. Firstly, it's a real honor and privilege to have you on the show because you're our first American guest.
International.
International.
No, we had New Zealand.
No, we did have New Zealand.
Oh,
we did have a guy from New Zealand, Ray, a couple of months ago.
That's
But hey, Chris, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show, mate. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your marketplace, how long you've been in real estate, etc.
I'm pumped to be on the show. I've been in real estate over 15 years now, both as a real estate agent, and then I started out as a mortgage loan officer and became a branch manager back when the bubble hit and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
I saw the good part of real estate and I saw the bad part. So definitely a dinosaur in the real estate game.
Mate, you probably got more experience than Matt and I. No. But I was going to say, Chris, yeah, there was a pretty bad time during that. You're talking about the GFC in 2008. It was a pretty turbulent time for you guys over there, right?
Yeah, it was a very tough time. A lot of people that were in the business had to go get jobs. No lender really anticipated any of that stuff happening. So you had one or two people in the loss mitigation department, and then they just got swamped. And there was no forms, there were no protocol, there was nothing like that. So me trying to explain it to people now, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's easy. You short sell and this and that." Like we didn't really have those options.
Yeah, I remember during that time there were the loans the banks were giving out. They called them ninja loans, Matty. I think they called
that's right.
No income, no job. I can't remember what the A stand for, but it was something. But it was like a ninja loans where you could just show up. Yeah, and
the amen approved.
Yeah, you get 120%. Loan on top of the value of the property. It was just crazy. But,
unsustainable.
So tell me a little bit about the market right now for you guys, Chris. What are you guys seeing in your part of the world?
I'm in Dallas, Texas, and there's a lot of relocation here because we don't have state taxes. So a lot of the bigger companies are relocating here, bringing a lot of their employees, their executives with them. So the market is hot. The unfortunate thing is that I guess it depends on how you look at it. The last 5 years have been really on fire.
Yeah.
And this year has kind of slowed down a little bit because there's been more inventory due to two factors. The first factor is that property taxes have gone crazy, and people that are in a fixed income can't afford them anymore when they go up. So they're looking to sell, and then the great advantage about being on the internet, Zillow, and sites like that is that you can put your house up for sale as a for sale by owner and have the whole make me move price set up. So a lot of people are doing that, trying to see how much they can get out of their house. Really, I think the peak was last year.
Yeah, right.
So you're seeing, it's Matt, Chris, how are you? You're seeing a few for sale by owners appearing, are you?
Yeah, the for sale by owner is a tricky deal. A lot of times they shoot the price up so high, just hoping that they have somebody born yesterday that comes in and just loves the house and wants it.
Are you targeting those for sale by owners as well to see if they'll they can access your buyer database, etc.?
Yeah, the for sale by owners. It's not a lot, but it's enough to kind of throw off your marketing strategy and your comps in the area.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
So tell me, Chris, what do you see as your biggest challenge here for you at the moment? In your real estate market, what's the biggest challenge right now for you?
Right now, it's which a lot of people aren't going to realize is that anything over really 225 is moving really slowly. And I deal with a lot of investors that usually buy things in like the 350 to 550 because there's a lot more meat on the bones.
Yep.
And quite frankly, it's just not moving. So you have to get super creative with your marketing. A lot of the investors, they have a price point in their head of their profit, and they don't want to budge on coming down. And a lot of people don't realize is that it's not like the stock market. You can't just, swipe the button to sell. You have to actually find somebody willing to buy the house, and that takes time. And that's a lot of, investors don't have.
Yeah, right.
What's the rental market like, Chris, over there?
The rental market is really high just because we have a lot of relocations into the area.
Yeah, that's why I was asking when you said that.
A lot of people aren't looking to buy. Right, so a lot of people aren't looking to buy. They're looking to kind of rent, kind of see how the lay of the land is. They're really not sure how long they're going to be in Texas, stuff like that.
What sort of dollars to rent a house would it be? Roughly 3-bedroom house on a reasonable street. What would something like that cost per week?
It's a per month, so you're looking at anywhere from probably $1,500 in kind of the average areas to $1,750 to probably
per month. Is that
US?
Yeah, per month.
Right. Okay. So you're saying the challenge right now is your properties that are worth. Were you saying 225,000 is very hard to sell at that point, at that price point?
Yeah, like the 225 and below is really hot. That's like the multiple offer situation, that kind of stuff. But everything above that, like the 250 and higher, really kind of gets kind of tricky because it'll sit for a while.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have just been really spoiled the last couple of years that their house.
So their higher expectations. Yeah. So, Matty, we had the peak of the market last year, right, Matty? And we had a really good, strong run for a good 4 to 5 years here in Australia as well. And, owners' expectations were high. We're seeing the market, we're in a falling sales market at the moment here where prices are coming back a little bit and sort of aligning more where they need to be, which is probably quite good. And buyers are starting to sort of come back. But that first 6 months of that transition to the first half of this year, Matty, we just saw nothing was happening. What would be some great tips for him to sort of maybe say, okay, how can I align my vendors' expectations with where buyers are at the moment?
So, Chris, do you ever put like vendors, sellers of the houses in your car and take them around and show them other properties that are on the market? Like walk through them?
For me, it's more of just kind of the numbers of showing, hey, look, like, back at this date, and when that house sold, it was a better market. Now it's not. So we have to kind of play into that.
We just
a couple of different.
Oh yeah. Just found over the years what works really well is if you can visualize to an owner, actually walk them through something that's competing with theirs on the market right now, and they can see the value proposition's better. They'll look to make an immediate decision versus trying to look at something on the internet. Yeah,
exactly. Chris, you know what I would do? Have you got a couple of listings at the moment that you feel maybe a little bit overpriced at the moment and not at the right level where I call it the sweet spot? There's always a sweet spot on each of your properties, right? Meaning that there'll be a level where there'll be engagement from buyers, and that sweet spot will actually get buyers to include that property on the shopping list versus exclude. So do you have any properties at the moment that you have that are overpriced?
Yeah, I got 2 now. I just actually lowered them today. But if you go onto Zillow and look me up, I'm very transparent. You can see all my deals.
Zillow's like realestate.com in Sydney. Yeah, Zillow. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. A couple of things that I would do, Chris, and this is what we do with a lot of our agents back here in Australia and across. So number one, type of dialogue that I would use is understand that you need to have the sweet spot on your property. I would talk to Mr. and Mrs. Seller, understand the buyer psychology in the marketplace today, okay? So number one is when they see a price on a property, okay, number one is they're going to probably look at it and look at every other property that's currently on the market. Number one, what's competing against yours. Because your property is not in isolation, it's in competition. Number two, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what you need to also understand is they're going to look at every other property that's sold in the last 3 to 4 months and at what price. what we should do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is actually position ourselves in the market so we're not chasing the market, but we're actually leading the market. Because if we lead the market and put the price just a little bit beneath everyone else's, we're going to take the equity and the buyers of the other properties that are around us. But if they do it first, they'll take our buyers and our equity. Number 4, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the rule that they go by is they'll either include or exclude your property, because buyers start like this. They start logically and then they move emotionally. So when we go on to, say, Zillow, we start in a logical place. We're not talking from the heart. But if we can get it at a level that where the price is at the sweet spot, we'll get them through the door. They'll come in. They'll fall in love with your beautiful back garden, the wonderful kitchen that you guys, renovated. And guess what? All of a sudden, they'll fall emotionally in love with it, okay? Because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we can either be chasing the market or leading the market, or the other thing we need to understand is we had the peak last year and we're in a falling sales market right now. Your choice today that you need to decide tonight is either at what level do you want to get off at? Because at the moment, we're starting to see prices contract, okay, and come back. And that will only start to continue to fall if we don't have that price at that sweet spot that we need to get these buyers in here so we can start to get multiple offers on your home. How does that sound, Chris?
Sounds amazing. Let's do it.
Let's give it. Okay, here's a contract and here's the pen. Sign across there. Sign 3 times. I love it. So Chris, yeah, I mean, we're actually experiencing here. We're probably we're in a really challenging market here in Australia, right, Matty?
Yeah.
It's been really hard. We're traditionally very auction orientated.
Yeah, look, what's happened here, Chris, is the agents have got a bit complacent as well, because things have been selling very quickly. It's actually not the market that's actually changed. It's the agents need to change to the market. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's
I
what
totally
the problem
agree.
is. It's not actually the market. The market's the market. We can't control it. But the agents they've had a really good run. We've had properties go up 70 to 80% in value in the last 2 years. And then they've come down 5%. And this is the problem, because they've stopped going up. The vendors thought the party would never end. And the agents thought it was too good to be true. And all of a sudden, it's we've got banks tightening monetary policy over here and lending policy. And that's actually, they've done that purposefully to slow. They had a royal commission into the way things were being, like home loans and things were being done. And they've changed the process and tightened it up, probably on the back of so they don't have a GFC like you guys had.
Correct.
I was just going to ask you, Chris, too, your volume you do, how many sales a month would you do?
Or a year.
Yeah.
In terms of volume or
transactions.
Yeah.
How many transactions would you do?
Yeah.
I usually do anywhere from about 10 to 20 a year. It just really depends. I've kind of been scaling up from the investment properties to more of like the higher end stuff. So those properties tend to sit longer, and they usually end up taking more time.
Yeah,
but the weird thing is they're usually a lot easier, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because their expectations are different versus somebody that's like a
What
first-time
about
home buyer.
your nearest competitor? Would they be doing more volume or same volume? What's it like? Is there a lot of market share for everyone, or?
It's super competitive here. We have over 30,000 agents just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Wow.
And that's just kind of like a ballpark. I'm sure there's probably more. It's just, everybody is kind of getting on. I have seen it before when it was, before the bubble burst.
Yeah.
I just seen it. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is easy." Like,
let's all jump into the real estate market and become real estate agents.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is the wonderful thing. This is the wonderful thing, and I'm telling a lot of our, our clients at the moment, Matt, and you might be telling your agents as well, and probably the people you're speaking to, Clinton, as well. But here's the thing, right? Like, this is an opportunity because when the market tightens up, like we're going through at the moment here in Sydney, in Australia, it's clean up time. Do you know what I mean? The less skilled agents, the ones like what Matty was saying, who are complacent, sitting on their laurels, okay, thinking that the party's going to go on forever and haven't been able to adapt to a changing market, they're the ones who are going to fall away. And I think, if you haven't seen the big sliders yet in your marketplace, Chris, my I suppose advice to you would be like, this is your opportunity to really get away from everyone. If you're doing 10 to 20 transactions per year, and you skill up and you really get good and know which market's moving, because obviously the investment market, like you just mentioned then, right? It's, they're the people that are going to buy with their head, not the heart. Where the residential property market, the mum and dads who are looking for buying a home, they're going to buy from their heart. This is where you can actually start to, I suppose, develop the skill, but also expand and look at different opportunities in different marketplaces for your area. And I've seen it. I've seen guys go from 10 to 20 and then they 2x, 3x their businesses, yeah? Okay? So I think for you right now, it's like while these guys here are enjoying the party, but the party's going to be finishing soon. Yeah,
totally.
You could actually be, starting to laugh and having a great time while they'll start leaving the industry. And
Clouds, you know what I've been finding too, and I don't know if this is relevant in your market, Chris. A lot of real estate agents got into the business in the last 3 years, and some of them become principals. I've noticed, so they're running their own business.
Yeah.
Yet they haven't seen that marketplace tighten like back in the 80s, early
That's right.
90s,
Yeah.
etc. And it is if you're not surrounded by coaches, mentors, experienced agents,
correct,
other people that have been through the market,
Yep.
you really don't have a reference point to understand what's possibly happening.
Exactly.
So I remember back when I started in 1988, the interest rates were 20%.
I was going to say 22.
20%, Chris, in Australia. Give you an idea. They're now about 3%, 4%, roughly.
Yep.
So they were 20%. So we couldn't get anyone a home loan to go and buy a property. It took 2 to 3 months to get people
to get
approved.
a private buyer.
To actually get them approved as a home loan before we could actually show them a property.
Exactly.
So we had to learn all the different skills on how to manage vendors, how to manage buyers. And the agents that have come in the game, I suppose, in the last 15 years, even 5 years, haven't really seen, at least the GFC sort of brought a bit of that back.
Correct.
We had to start doing deals differently.
Yeah.
And I think if you're listening to this and you've been in the game 3 or 4 years, I think you should get really experienced around what potentially was happening back then and just gear yourself up just in case the market tightens a bit further.
Yeah.
Because if you've geared yourself for a boom, you need to start seriously looking at changing that.
Yeah, and sometimes in a more tough, challenging market, you'll make more money in that market.
Correct.
Than you will in
if
a market
you know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in this market right now for you, Chris, you're probably finding there's 30,000 agents in your area, Fort Worth, in Texas, where it's congested. Do you know what I mean? But slowly that congestion is going to deteriorate because it's just going to be agents who are going to be doing deals.
Not enough properties coming on.
Correct. So I think you're in a good position. You've got 15 years of experience behind you, Chris. And you've been through the GFC, you've been through a challenging market. But one of the things that I've noticed here, Matt, is the agents who have been in the game for like less than 3 years, I'm seeing them like leave the industry.
Want to get out.
I'll go to an office and I go, oh, where's Bobby? Oh, Bobby's gone, because he couldn't adapt to the market.
Getting small real estate businesses every week approaching us to roll, do something with us here as well.
Yeah.
Because they just find the scale is better rather than doing it on your own.
Totally.
Strength in numbers.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, Chris, mate, do you have any other questions? Because, mate, we've really enjoyed you having here as part of a guest on the Mentor, especially coming all the way from the US in Texas, my friend. Have we been able to answer some of your questions today?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you guys, it's a little different everywhere, and I wanted to kind of pick your brain. When you guys have a situation where you want to purchase a home, how do you guys write it for like something pretty aggressive? Do you have like escalation clauses? Do you have does cash rule your world over there? Like how does it kind of work?
A cash buyer is always going to be the one that has the most power because they can settle and they can settle quickly. So speed is always, the best currency. So whoever can quickly do something, if it's a cash buyer, and a lot of our market, Chris, is auction. So 90% of our sales would go via the auction method, not via private sale. Yeah. So the clearance rate at the moment in Sydney is about 60%.
Yeah.
So 6 in 10 are selling.
Yeah, and Chris, and I know auction in America is like a distress sale. But that's here. It's not when we do auction. It's not distress sale. It's probably the best method to get the optimum price.
If we don't do an auction in some of our markets, a lot of the buyers are skeptical as to why it's not going to auction. They're saying, is there something wrong with the property? How come? Or the other thing they think, if we put a for sale sign up with a price on it, like, 800,000 or something, the buyers will say, what did it pass in at auction at when they come into the inspection? They don't actually, they're so attuned to auction. So our days on market are about 40 in Sydney, from the day they list it to the day it settles. So cash sales are king because most of it's auction.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, we don't really do a whole lot of auctions here. We only do, it's kind of the opposite. If somebody does an auction, everybody kind of looks at it like,
it's a bankrupt.
There's something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference in culture.
A really pretty penny.
Well, when Matt takes the agency over to the US, he's going to teach everyone how to do auctions because he's the master auctioneer. He knows how to work the floor and do an auction. No, that's super cool.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Hey, Chris, please keep in touch. We'd love if you could share it once we get it out. We'll tag you in through Instagram. If you could share it through your social media platforms from us, from Matt, Clinton, and myself, we would really appreciate that. And, mate, it's been an absolute honour to have you on the Mentors episode number 21.
Awesome. I'm happy that I was on. Thank you for the invite, and I will gladly share it out to everyone I know.
Good on you, my friend. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.
Thank you.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt Lahood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.